Dijkstra's algorithm finds you the shortest path, or the shortest distance from A to X, the shortest path. So you'll need the definition of a path. So a path, if you remember, is a finite sequence of edges such that the end vertex of one edge is the start vertex of the next edge, and in which no vertices appears more than once, no vertex appears more than once. So you need to follow the method exactly. Watch out for arithmetic errors. Do not make any shortcuts at all. So the method you use is start with the first vertex and put your finger on it. What I suggest you do is that you write down these instructions, and then as you go through the Dijkstra's algorithm, you say these out loud every time so that they're really set in your mind. So you put your finger on the vertex, keep your finger on the vertex and make sure that you follow every edge. Even check the ones going backwards, those are the ones it's easy to miss, so check every edge. If it takes you to a non-permanent vertex, write the value in the bottom box. When you've done that for all the edges, take your finger off and then look at all the non-permanent vertices, choose the smallest and make it permanent. Then put your finger on this vertex and start again. So this is my starting vertex. So I need to place my finger on this vertex and then track from that, keeping my finger on it. So I've got 24, so 24 goes in this box. I've got a 61, so 61 goes in this box, and an 18 in this box. So I've got 1, 2, 3 edges coming out of this. I've done them all, so take my finger off that and I look at the whole thing. I've got a 24, a 61 and an 18, so the smallest is 18. So I now label this, which is my second vertex, to be labelled an 18. I now put my finger on that again, and now I follow all the edges out of that, keeping my finger on it. Don't forget to check backwards, that goes to a permanent, I don't need that. I've got 18 and 42. 18 and 42 gives me 60, that's smaller, so I cross it out and replace the 61 with the 60. That's that one and that one. 18 and 12 gives me 30, so I put a 30 in this box. So I've now done all the edges out of this, so take my finger away from that and look at the whole thing. I've got permanent, a permanent, I've got a 24, I've got a 60, I've got a 30. So the 24 is my next smallest, so I label this 3 and 24, put my finger on here and now trace all of them. So 24 going backwards, that's permanent. 24 and 42, that's 66, so I put a 66 in the bottom box. 24 and 34 is 58, that's smaller again, so I replace the 60 with the 58. I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. So I've now gone through all of them. So take my finger off, look at the whole thing. Got a permanent, permanent, a permanent. I've got a 58, a 30 and a 66. So I choose the 30. I'm up to labelling number 4 and it's labelled as 30. And I'm put my finger on here. I check that way, that's permanent. 30 and 28 is 58. I've already got a 58 there. 30 and 11, that's 41, goes in there. 30 and a 47, that's 77, goes in there. And I keep following that process. So I'll get to this and I'll get to the end, which is this box here. I now track back and I need a highlighter for this and I just check. So 87 minus 14. 87 minus 14 doesn't take me to 75, but 87 minus 11 takes me to 76. Highlight that. Be very careful not to go over any of the numbers, because as soon as you do that, the examiner won't be able to read that value anymore. So 76 there, 76 minus 47 is no good. 76 minus 35, that gives me 41. So it's that one. 41 minus 11 is 30. And you keep checking all the possibilities. So 41 minus 15, that doesn't work. 41 minus 11, it does. 30 minus 12, that takes me to 18. And then 18 minus 18 takes me back to the beginning. Once you've highlighted your path, you've got the answers that you need. Now there are two questions they can ask you. Either write down the length of the route, and the length of the route comes from this number here. So the length of the route is 87. Don't forget to include the units if it gives you units. And it also, if you're asked for the route, look at the vertices, start on this side, so it goes from S to B to E to F to H to T, and you write it letters only, no commas, S, B, E, F, H, T. So that's the length and that's the route. Occasionally it will say find the shortest route showing you're working, or explain how you found it. The best way to explain is actually to do the calculations. You must use the phrase that you're either tracking back, you're working backwards, you're working in reverse. So you start at this end, so you started at T and you did 87 minus 11 to get 76. Your first line of working, 87 minus 11 equals 76. Write down what you got, so that was the edge HT. You're then at the 76 and you did 76 minus 35 to give you the 41, and that was edge HF. You need to show every single step. So in this case there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of working. You don't need to show this working, and it's a waste of time, unless it says to you explain how you found your route, and if it says explain how you found your route, you must give this working. Occasionally there'll be a couple of twists to the question. For example, the road is closed. So if a road is closed, try and use what you've already got, but then you amend it. So you may have to sort of almost start again, need to sort of look at it and think carefully, but use what you've already got. And if you're asked why you can do that, you need to remember that part of a shortest path is also a shortest path. So any part of a shortest path is also a shortest path. Another twist is that you're given 2 starting points, but just 1 finishing. You can't use Dijkstras with 2 starting points. You can only use Dijkstras if you've got 1 unique starting point. So if you've got 2 places where you can start and 1 finishing point, you then work backwards. So you do your starting value, at this end. So you would label this 0 and 1, and then you work from right to left. If you were trying to explain it, the wording that you need to use is that Dijkstra's algorithm can only be used with a unique starting point. So if there are 2 starting points, it would need to be performed twice. Instead, we can start at the unique end point and work backwards, as the shortest path will be the same and have the same length in reverse. So it's the idea that you cannot do Dijkstra's with 2 starting points. You would need to perform it twice, but you can start at the unique end point and work in the other direction, as the shortest path is the same in reverse.